Okay, now you're live. You're good to go.
Carrie, do you have
All set.
Carolyn?
I do not. You don't have a quorum yet. You've only got 2 members on.
Let me see if I
Because we
can get
lost
hold of them.
Beth. Beth was here and then we lost her.
When can we go back to regular meetings? Oh, gosh.
Her Zoom, Carolyn says her Zoom's not working.
Okay, let me give her a call.
Okay.
Uh,
She says the same thing, Vince. When will we have in-person meetings?
yeah, it's kind of frustrating.
Hoping to get rid of some of my backlight there.
I don't see where, I don't see my camera's not working. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything but me, and that's not a pretty sight.
Oh,
Me?
I don't know about that. We've got Beth.
Hi.
Hi, Beth.
Hi,
How are
Beth.
you?
We've got Katie. Hi, Katie.
Hi.
How are ya?
Good.
Try not to be backlit. There we go. Ish. I've been working in the garage.
Coming.
No Brett either, huh?
Brett, he had a prior commitment, so he called. He's
okay.
excused.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess we're waiting on Caroline, and Beth's here, right?
I'm here. Hi.
Okay, good, great, thank you.
Hi,
So we have
Caroline.
Caroline.
Oh, how are you? Sorry, I'm being such a pain with this.
That's all right.
I'm right there with you. So worry. Oh gosh. All right. Well, so we have a quorum. So let's get this thing started since there's a lot here on the agenda. So we'll call the meeting to order for the Parks and Rec. It's 6:10. Parks and Rec Commission meeting. We'll start off with roll call so we can identify who's here. Vince Fody chairs here. Yes, that's me. Commissioner DeLello.
Yes.
Commissioner Brett Heidel is excused. He has a prior commitment. Commissioner Marks.
Yes, here.
Commissioner Ashbaugh.
Here.
So then we have Council Member Katie Lipari-Shue.
Here.
And of course, Parks Administrator Lou Lansing is here.
Here.
Okay, so need a motion. I'm assuming everybody reviewed and had a chance to look at the minutes for the last meeting, which was July 6th, 2020. We had that meeting via Zoom also. Can I have a motion to accept the meetings, the minutes? Excuse me.
Then I will motion to accept those minutes.
All right, second.
A second.
Okay, so Gary. Caroline. All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. So the minutes were passed. I see we have some petitioners on here, and Lou, I see that you wrote the petitioners up also here on your report. You want to
Yes.
give Kelsey Lang with Tribe Yoga?
Yes, yes, and I don't know that the city is going to allow this. I've given my recommendation and I haven't heard back. Yoga is an accepted activity for the park, but I just want to make sure that Greg has passed it on to the mayor and the council. I think we should let them have some space in the park, especially since one of their teachers is Diane Georgeson, who is the city health officer. They may want to do practice and they may want to do just some classes. So I just wanted to make sure the commission was okay with it if the city moves forward with it.
Yeah, didn't we discuss this previously, or no? Is this something new?
No, it's
Okay.
a new request.
Okay. Well, the fact that Diane Jorgensen is one of the teachers in Oregon, I wouldn't believe that they wouldn't be going by anything but the rules for social distancing.
They're very good.
Yep.
So, do we need a motion to say that it's okay from our standpoint, or
I just need a recommendation. If you guys recommend it, then we'll move forward.
Yep. Sounds good to me.
Sounds good to me. I don't think anybody would have a problem.
And the second thing from the Alzheimer's Walk, Nicole Bury, I just wanted to let you know, so that if you heard later on that they had their walk in the park, that's incorrect. They're not having to walk. They just want permission to put up their pinwheels. Apparently, their Promise Garden is a big part of awareness for Alzheimer's. I'm also recommending to the city that we allow them to do that. They're going to put them up. They're going to take them down. I don't think it's going to be a problem. The only reason why I haven't said we should move forward is because I don't know what soccer is going to be doing yet. And soccer Saturday, they're Sunday. I just want to make sure. Just an FYI, you guys don't need to do anything with it.
Okay. Well, so there's no event, but they want to put pinwheels up.
Right.
Okay.
So people get the awareness. They drive by. They won't have to get out of their car. They won't have to endanger themselves. So I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, no doubt. That's fine.
I have a question on this kind of thing though. What are the rules? Like, how long can an installation like that be put up for?
It's just going to be for probably an hour. That
Okay.
Their virtual walk is happening online.
Okay.
Maybe a couple hours. It won't be long, and they will be there. They'll put it up and they'll take it down.
Yeah, not that them specifically, but in general, how does, like, if somebody wants to do an organization were to do an installation, is there a rule on that?
In general, if you have a permit to use the park, you can have something up during your specified permit time.
Okay.
That's it. You can't put it up 2 days before or anything like that.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. Excellent. Thanks.
So that's why we have permits, just so that it can all be explained out pretty clearly what's expected of them and where we're supplying them space and so forth. So anything that goes on that permit is pretty much what it is in stone and what they go by.
Excellent.
Okay. So we had a couple correspondences, or maybe there's just one from Nancy O'Hara.
Nancy O'Hara, her great aunt was Ethel Scatchard, and Ethel has a memorial in the park as you enter the park from Neowell Place. It's that stone structure just as you come off of Neowell Place into the park at the very start of the Veterans Memorial Walkway. The memorial is in kind of disarray. It's gotten older. The fountain no longer works. It is on the city's parks priorities, short-term to be repaired or rehabilitated, and it is on our Parks Master Plan. I just wanted to make you all aware that she had made a request. The family is requesting that this memorial be rehabilitated.
Lou, do you know what the cost would be would it be a cost to the city of Oneonta to repair that?
Yes, there would be a cost to it. I
Okay.
don't know what it is, but it's on our priority list. So I'm thinking that Greg is already budgeted for it. And if not, I don't know with COVID if it'll be done this year.
Mhm.
Short term doesn't necessarily mean this year. We kind of thought it would mean 2020, but some things we're already deciding we can wait on. This may be one of them.
Okay.
And I just haven't had a chance to talk with Greg because he's pretty busy guy. It's hard to, and this is not really a priority, but it is on our list of things to get to. And I've assured the family that we will be getting to it.
Okay.
I mean, there are some things where folks can buy, you know, they buy what are they, benches, right, Lou?
Benches and trees.
Benches and trees, and then they have to, don't they endow it also, like take care of future expenses for it? Like there's certain, if
I don't know the answer to that. I don't think so. I think once they buy the tree or the bench, we take care of it. This is a special memorial that was donated or donated by, I believe it was the Red Cross who actually donated the memorial. And it was dedicated in quite a while ago, 1922.
a long time ago, yeah.
So
See, I think
I don't know that, obviously if the family's asking us about it, they don't have any means to take care of it. So I really have to talk to Greg about what this would entail.
Yeah, because in the future, of course, this has been there for years and years and years, grandfathered in, and but nowadays, if you want something memorialized or with those benches, just so that the city and the taxpayers don't have to absorb the expense of it going forward, because once you put something up, there's going to be expense of it for it to be taken care of. That's why going forward, and we'll address them as they come along, obviously, to make sure, you know, if somebody wants to do something or you know, put benches in, or you know, it's one thing to set the cost for it, but you have to project out how much, you know, is it going to have to be repainted, refurbished every 3 years, every 5 years, every 10 years? And what's that going to cost? And is that fair for the city taxpayers to absorb? Or is that something that you build into the cost of you know, what you're going to charge folks to have done what they want to have done? But again, we can cross them.
I don't know where this memorial falls. It may fall under historic preservation. So it might be something that the city and taxpayers will have to absorb. So I don't know. I mean, I think that we paid for restoration of the Caboose Memorial. And I know that the New York State Memorial is something that needs restoration as well. And I believe that we will, down the road, it's not in the near future, do something with that. So I don't know, Greg or Vince. I don't know. I'll have to talk to Greg about it.
Okay. So, if it's been there, I mean, it's been there since 1922.
Right. And as long as I can remember, it's never been a functioning fountain. Carolyn, do you have any memory before
I
me?
don't ever recall a functioning fountain.
I don't either. It's just been a stone place.
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right. Let's go down to the Parks report. Lou?
Okay, I'm hoping that you all read this. It's just the youth tennis program had another successful year, and that's Director Phyllis Orlowski. 62 kids participating K through 12, which I thought was great considering the year. Kids were all excited about it. I did check with Phyllis on the lobster ball machine. She has access to one if she wants it, probably not interested in using one for this program. But she did reiterate her interest. If you recall, a couple years ago when she first came to the commission, she asked for a hitting wall at the Waddington complex. I did a little bit of study about hitting walls, and there's mixed emotions, mixed opinions about putting up a hitting wall because they have to be attached to something. A lot of places who put one up are attaching them to their fencing, and they're quite heavy and they can tear down and have in some parks cause the fence to fall down. We don't want that to happen. So just is an idea. It's on her wish list, and I don't know when or if it'll get on ours. We felt resurfacing the courts was the most important thing at this point. So, so you know.
But is the resurfacing going to take place of the courts?
Well, we're hoping, Vince.
Yeah, I know. Everything's
the hold up right now. The hold up right now is fencing for the pickleball courts. Trying to get prices for that fencing. It's right now people can't get materials, and I mean there's all kinds of problems with those kinds of things. But I'm still hopeful. Harvard College will not be using Wilbur Park courts this year, so we have a little bit more leeway into the fall to get that done. So I'm still hopeful that it will happen.
Okay. How about so I don't mean to jump ahead because this kind of falls on the list of the priorities list. So the pickleball fencing, it would seem that's that's our highest priority, or that's a part. The city thinks it can get fencing and get that going.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Greg is still hopeful about that. Who knows with all the expenses we have with what's going on, if that will happen, but that was the plan.
Okay.
And the fencing for the pickleball courts was kind of an add-on to this project. It wasn't this resurfacing. That was already there, but this was an add-on to make it into 8 courts, which is probably the best way to go. If you're going to build pickleball courts, you want to build as many as you possibly can because it's such a interesting thing for people. So, do you want me to move on, Vince?
Yeah.
Okay. The YMCA just completed the 2020 swim lessons, and they all went really well. There's more kids in the life-saving class, which is all wonderful things. Everything at the Wilbur Pool is going really well. Danielle Hoyt is the supervisor there for the Y. She's doing a great job. The lifeguards are doing a great job. Anybody been to the pool? Anybody have any feedback?
I haven't been in the pool, but I've walked by it quite frequently and always see the lifeguards with their masks on. I don't see anybody congregating anywhere, out of the normal space that they should be. So even though it's been a hot summer, I don't think they've been at capacity. Do you know? Did they?
They've almost been. I think one day or one time that I know that Danielle shared with me, they were at 160, and the pool capacity I think is like 330, but you can only be at 50% with COVID.
Right.
So I think they were right about close to capacity. Yeah. But the good thing is that they let people in, and 45 minutes later they clear the pool so that anybody who's waiting gets their chance to get in, so they don't stand there all day waiting for somebody to leave, which is a good thing.
Yeah, and I've had people tell me that it's gone very well. They got out of the pool, they walked around and waited in line, and there was never a problem with that at all. It worked very well.
That's good. The Y is doing a nice job with that.
They are.
We've just completed our 5th concert performance at Demoski. Thank you for the head counts, Carolyn. We've been attracting around 30 to 40 people who are pretty much practicing social distancing and wearing masks, so they're doing a good job with that. The live streaming has gone great. The views have been phenomenal, and people are all completely positive. Many states, a lot of them that are quarantined, are able to tune in and see it. Carrie's doing a phenomenal job with that.
Yes, she is.
I hope that some of the commissioners are tuning in on occasion, and I hope council members. Katie, I hope you check with the council to make sure they're tuning in. There's the live stream address again if you need it. So I'd really like to, if somebody does tune in, just give us a thumbs up or something so that we know. We'd love to hear that. It's always good. We've just made a decision. Field 6 will not be used for baseball for August at this point. I've had a couple requests for August, and we've told them at this point no.
So field 6, that's the one where the older kids play, right?
The baseball field, yes.
Yeah. Okay. And the request was denied just because baseball is not one of the.
Well, baseball
sports.
is a moderate, but we don't allow tournaments, and most of the requests were for tournaments or
I see.
teams that are traveling. They don't allow traveling right now. I really was honestly opposed to us opening up field 6, and that's unusual for me because I want people in the park, but it's a very difficult thing for us to control kids, going in and out. Parents, every kid is allowed 2 spectators. Now, if you have 4 teams there, you're already up over 50 people. We don't allow over 50 people at events in the park right now. So there was so many things that was beyond our control. That was what went into that decision.
Well, understandable.
And I got to tell you, the organizations that had requested and that we told them, one specifically said to me, it's been no everywhere else. We completely understand and we'll be back next year. So very understanding to the decision we made.
Good. Hopefully next year will be a very, very busy year.
I hope I'm complaining to you how busy I am next year.
Yeah.
That's what I hope.
Okay. Down to your next line item, which is the priorities list,
Yes.
which we've seen before, color coded. I've come to the realization that, as anything in the short-term column doesn't probably mean anything because nothing's really. You can't expect too much with COVID-19. Although we have been good in making strides, with our pools and with pickleball being a high priority. You can see by looking at that list, there's a lot of things on our priority list that are going to take some time to get done. But I'm just being a realist here. The Damaski Field renovations, the phase 1. That went along better than I thought.
Really well.
Was gonna. Right, exactly. But you can go down that list as easy as I can go down it. But take a look down through there. There's even though there's not a lot going on, there's a lot that we had scheduled or that we anticipated to go on. But in these odd times, we just unfortunately have to be patient and make the right decision so that safety comes first. The goose management thing. I saw there was a few geese down there, but I didn't see a lot this year. Did anybody else?
The most I saw. Go ahead, Beth.
I haven't been on that part of the park. The only part I was at was at the skate park.
Okay, I was through the park a couple days ago, and I hadn't really seen many at all, but a couple days ago were the most that I had seen, and I tried to count them, but they were moving so fast. And Lou, what do you think? Have you been counting? I had like maybe 30 or so.
Yeah.
Does that number sound?
The most that I've counted at any one time is 20, but like you said, it's hard to count because they're moving and flying in and out. But
yeah, they're going in different directions.
She's back working, and they've just finished in July. They just finished their molting, and they don't chase them during molting season.
Right. Okay.
And so after the molt, some of them were returning to the park, but she's back at it with her dogs, 2 or 3 of her dogs. So she's trying to move them along.
Okay. Yep. Good.
So
But not as many as we've seen in the past. I mean, there were over 100. Yeah.
No, and I've had zero complaints about the condition of the walkway, and so it's all helpful.
It's going in the right direction.
And Vince, part of the reason why I wanted to take a look at the priorities list and the master plan is I was hoping, even though we're kind of stalled right now, not knowing what's going to move forward, even on our short list, I was kind of hoping, especially for the benefit of those who are new to the commission and Katie, that if you had questions, now's a good time to look at why are we doing certain things. I don't know that this group, besides you and Gary, knew why we thought Hodges Ponds was such an important endeavor. And so that's why I kind of outlined the problems, the many problems that Hodges Pond has. And besides the Mosque Field, Hodges Pond is the center of our park.
Mhm.
And it's an important resource for us to save.
Correct. It's a high priority because it's very visible. I mean, Damaski Field, then you have Hodges Pond, or to some people they might not even know Damaski Field's over there, and you know they go and they go to the pond, they go to Newell because of the, you know, the beauty of Hodges Pond. But Hodges Pond, if you don't take care of it, it's just going to go by the wayside.
Part of this,
It's
that's
kind
part of the history. So yeah, I would say you know, people always talk about skating on the pond. So it's part of the history of the city. So of course it would be taken care of.
And part of the problem with Hodges Pond has been the geese.
Yeah.
The geese
Yeah.
may have been the reason, or part of the reason why we have Eurasian milfoil there, which is an invasive species, which if you look up almost any place in New York State, everybody is troubled by Eurasian milfoil right now.
Yeah.
And we need to test the soil in Hodges Pond to see if it has a high concentration of phosphorus, which it may have. And the Cobuskill group did not study, they didn't have the resources to do a study of the soil. We need the DEC to help us with that. And before this happened, the DEC was on board with helping us with the overpopulation of fish and the soil management. But where they are right now, I'm not sure what's going to happen.
So would like a fishing marathon work to help with the fish?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't have our two children's fishing clinic and our fishing derby this year, which is too bad. But that really didn't get to the heart of the problem. We purchased years ago, I'm not sure before my time, we purchased grass carp to help with the vegetation, which was also out of control in the pond. And the grass carp ate everything except the Eurasian milfoil because they don't like it, they don't eat it, and the algae they don't eat. And thus the carp got huge. I mean, they pulled a couple carp out of there that they had to hold with two hands. Wow. I mean, just a monster. Some of those carp have to come out. They're too big for the place. And again, the DEC has to help us with that because it's either that or euthanize them. And we don't want to do that.
Okay.
So just like we didn't want to euthanize the geese.
So we need homes for 20-foot carp.
Well, I think the fisheries in Cobuskill can help us with that.
Okay.
I think there are other people that have bigger ponds that may be looking for grass carp, and we could certainly help them.
Okay. I might know some people actually. Yeah. So.
The folks from Cobuskill, they did a great job. I mean, they were all in the pond, chest deep in water. I mean, they really they had a plan, and they came out with some good information. The thing about it being, you know, too many fish in there, every event or every fishing derby we ever had since, I mean, I'm age 60, and I always like bringing, you know, nephews and nieces down there and making believe they're fishing when it's really me. But it's always been catch and release. You know,
Exactly.
every fish we ever caught, you know, whether it's a 3-pound bass or you know, 20 little sunnies, they were all everybody all put them back. Yeah. So Anyway, Lou, underneath your master plan on the parks report there, is there anything else you want to hit on? You know, the resurfacing of the park of the tennis courts. Again, is that real? Is that really going to happen, or?
I don't know for sure, Vince. I don't know for sure on
Yeah.
anything. I don't know that the city knows for sure because there's so many extra things right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we are trying. I am most hopeful that the courts will be resurfaced and that we'll get the pickleball courts. I'm
Yeah, that'd be
very
great
hopeful
if,
about that. So, but
Yeah,
I dare not
that-
tell anybody that I can promise because I
Nah,
can't.
just yeah, exactly. I mean,
I guess the only other thing I have is there some things have been done. Obviously, phase one, you touched upon of Demoski, the Candy Shack upgrade and restrooms, gates at the dugout. We wanted locked gates at the dugouts at Field 6 because somebody got in there and did bad things. Those are on. The guys are taking care of that. The grates at Wilbur Pool that wouldn't pass inspection by the state have been replaced. And so there are things happening that you might not be able to go through the park and say, hey, the grates at Wilbur, I mean, nobody's going to notice. They'd only notice when they're not repaired. So there are some good things happening. The guys
Oh, no.
So
No doubt. No doubt. The other thing on here is our dog park. Okay, so been on the list for a little bit of time, gained some speed, then hit some bumps in the road. I mean, as far as us putting together a committee, we really didn't have anybody that wanted. Beth stepped up as best as she could, but I mean, as far as that committee goes, of having a leadership committee that would just kind of see it along and not just keep it on the forefront, on the front burner, just so it was the only reason I feel a little sense of urgency of getting that done is because we kind of advertised that it was going to be done. We put it out there. Folks, we put it out there to folks, as much as a year and a half ago. I don't even know how long it's been now. But it was one of those ones where we said, oh, this is a definite, we've had different locations now where it's going to be. And again, it's just kind of floundering around so the final place where they want to put it is over there by the basketball courts. Is that right?
we're going to put it in the original master plan of the parks over behind, it's kind of in back of Field 6 and the pavilion in that wooded area. There's a lot more shade elements there. I think it's a good location. I mean, that's the reason why it was in the master plan to begin with. And I think it's going to be a little bit more roomy. I think it's pretty close to where we could run some water to that location if we eventually did. Vince, I do have a community member who is interested in serving on the committee. I'm going to take charge with this and get this going because I think it's that important. I think you're right.
Okay.
I can help with what needs to happen. I just didn't think I had the energy right now because of my whole career stuff. So if you need me to do something, and I will do what I can.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's great. And if you can't, you mean just say,
Yeah.
just say you can, and we'll find somebody that can. That's good. That's great. So,
If I could just,
we're all.
sorry,
Sure.
if I could just jump in for 1 second. So I think it's just worth mentioning that a couple weeks ago, not at this past meeting, but I think the meeting before that, the council voted to, in this year's budget, to reallocate the funding for the dog park to different parks projects. Lou, do you remember what that was? So just a heads up, because I know Vince, you had said, this has been on people's minds for a long time. It's, I think it's good because it gives whatever committee ends up forming some time to work on it and to be able to really shore up you know, what's going to happen for the following year. But the money has been reallocated. So just a
That's
heads
good.
up on that. It's probably not going to
That's
happen
good
this
news.
year.
I didn't know that, Katie. No one told me.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and, you know, honestly, it's pretty late in the year. So I think it makes sense to have, you know, a group come together and we can really iron out all the details. And then, you know, when the money is needed, it's not being held aside right now, but when it's needed, I'm sure that.
I think it's important for us to know that there was an extensive study done on dog parks. And I've also gotten a lot of information from a local dog trainer. I mean, I think I think what we need more than anything is community buy-in. And so that's what I'm hoping, that this community group, we can get 4 or 5 individuals to, you know, kind of take it by the horns and keep reminding the city that it is something that people want. I think that that's very helpful. I think having some faces with a project like that besides Lou Lansing's is a good thing.
What was the total price tag on our dog park?
56,000.
56.
That sounds right.
There was something. It was either maybe it went to, part of it went to the infield resurfacing at Damaski Fields.
Okay.
Lou looks like she has some intel there.
I was just saying if I had it written down anywhere, I don't.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think just for lack of the direct way forward with the dog park, and also because whatever we replaced that funding with sounded urgent based on the recommendation of the city engineer. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're just here to you know, lend a guiding hand to try to bring things to the surface of what we think or what we thought was important to all. So, you know, but obviously, if there's higher priority, you know, monies are needed to fill a need somewhere else. Obviously, you got to move the monies around. But I do think like this dog committee, that'd be the principle, and the priority of that committee would be to keep the dog park on the forefront of at least getting something. And maybe if it's not $56,000, maybe it's $30,000. But again, just doing something that's right and doing something that again, what we thought or seemed like was what our constituents wanted. So. Anyway,
Originally, we were just going to start clearing the land this fall, and people just took that much of it, even if there's no dog park yet, but the land is being cleared. That would be a wonderful thing. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I think that helps people see, okay, stop talking about it, city, let's go. And I think that's what.
So there's no point in clearing land if there is no money allocated for this year. I don't understand why the money was, and none of us knew about this. I'm not following the protocol with a money budgeted for an item and then it's transferred somewhere else. And how do we know that that money will be reinstated in next year's budget? So
that's a good question, Carolyn.
So please inform me how this will work.
Yeah, so ultimately, you know, it's just like a personal bank account, right? And so the council kind of votes on how it's spent. And so even though things were, this is my first budget year, so forgive me if this isn't like airtight, but so basically the budget is proposed and voted on, and then as the year progresses, the council can vote to spend money in ways that would differ from the original proposed budget, which was proposed in the December of the prior year. So as things come up, we can vote to change where that money is going based on, so it'll go from, you know, A line item to S line item. And so we vote on that at city council meetings. And so the city engineer did a presentation at a couple council meetings ago about a project that had come up that he felt was a higher priority than the allocating the funds to the dog park. And so some of that money was, I think it was the whole, was reallocated to this other project because the council decided that that was now is the prudent time to be able to take care of that, whatever that project was. And I'm sorry that I don't have it on the top of my head.
You don't know what that project is.
Well, I did when I voted on it, but I'm trying to remember where the money went. And I think it might be the infield resurfacing at Damaski. But I could be wrong about that. I'd have to go back and check my agendas and my notes.
So how do we move forward with this if we don't know what money we have? So do we have money allocated for 2021? I mean, I guess
So we're just starting the budgeting process for next year. And so, yeah, so this is where there's a gap for me is I think that because Parks is under engineering, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes.
So that'll be, so I think Lou will make recommendations, right, to Greg, make recommendations to us. We'll put the budget all together and then it'll be approved as a whole. You know, I'm sure we'll pick it apart and put it back together. And then we approve the whole budget in December for the following year.
Okay.
So if Lou recommends it to Greg, ultimately Greg has to recommend it to us, and then the city council would have to put it in the budget for the following year. It doesn't just automatically renew. But considering, you know, this is something that I know we feel so strongly about, I don't think it's going to go away. We all just kind of, you know, we asked a very clear question, like, okay, so this is coming from the dog park, and we all kind of knew that. But I think that there's good support on the council for the dog park, and I think that we were sort of thinking of sort of pushing the ball down the road as opposed to being like, oh, well, there goes the dog park. So I think that was the feeling in the room, was that, okay, it might have to wait till next year.
So Greg and I did have a conversation about prioritizing our priority list with in light of all the things that are going on this year. And we did talk about how we thought resurfacing was more important than the dog park right now.
Okay.
I think it might be better, Katie, thank you for that information. I think it might be beneficial if I can get him to be at our next meeting, get Greg here, and maybe he could clear up, because he can tell you exactly what the decisions, how they were made, and what we can expect for next year anyway.
Okay.
And how we can move forward with this committee, because he's the one that really, you know, said we need to have this committee, and I agree now. So, you know, his input would be great if we can get him here.
Okay. I agree.
The hurdle that we're going to have going forward is if for example, you know, resurfacing doesn't take place this year, if the paddleball courts, the fencing doesn't get put up this year, you know, all these things are going to get pushed back. And I agree, resurfacing of tennis courts and basketball courts, they're high use items. I mean, and you can't have anybody breaking their ankle out there because the court is crappy. You're going to have a whole backlog of projects, and time and money is going to prevent from you know, all these short-term things. The short-term things, there's you look down the short-term things and you say, wow, they're all pretty important. Yeah. It's just a matter of okay, really, let's sit down, let's prioritize them, see if you can take out the top, you know, pick out the top 4 or 5, which again might be a hard thing to do, but eventually you're gonna have to say there's probably never going to be a good time that the you know, to you know, do the dog park. It might not. There might always be a higher priority item on there. But I think the committee, a dog park committee, can always keep it at least a little bit on the stovetop rather than back on the, not even on any burner, you know.
Yeah, and
Anyway.
I know that we're not going to be able to wait a huge time for Hodges Pond to be taken care of. So
Yeah.
there's so many things that, you know, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think we need to get
it's a hard
Greg to
thing.
come and
Yeah.
I'm Katie, I'm with you. It's hard to know when when all these numbers come at you. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. It's hard to remember things. I don't expect you to be able to. And you've given me a piece of information that nobody else gave me tonight. So thank you.
Well, and I just wanted to say, kind of just to allude to something that Vince said earlier about that memorial and just things that get built and thinking about, you know, the maintenance costs. I think a really huge priority, just like speaking as a member of the council, for me, thinking about the dog park, a huge priority of the committee that forms for it, I think would be really thinking about that long-term maintenance and how we're going to fund that. Because I don't know, you know, it's the kind of thing where you build it and then you have to maintain it, just like everything else. And, you know, not knowing what finances are going to look like in the future. I just think it'd be great if we could figure out ways to make sure that the dog park is well maintained and funded as necessary, if there was a funding stream for that, just so that we don't have to count on it being in the budget every year.
Yeah, no, good point. I mean, there's items that, you know, once you build it, it's probably going to be a line item in the budget.
Absolutely.
Year after year.
You gotta, just like baseball fields, just like community gardens.
Right.
You know, community gardens got a big boost this year, but that doesn't mean that we never have to fund it again. I mean, there's going to be maintenance costs every year.
Absolutely.
So, but you
So
make a good point.
It's just important to remember that that's going on across all departments in the city right now, especially with COVID.
Absolutely.
You know, trying to balance what we can afford with what we want to do to move forward. So I think that for me, like thinking about what that committee needs to be focused on, for me, that's like priority number one is like, can we get like sponsorships? Can we get an endowment? Can we get something that will make sure that we can add this to our community and it won't be something that, you know, we have a hard time maintaining.
Yeah, and you don't point well taken. I mean, you don't want it to be, you know, an expense that drags the budget down, and every time you see the line item, you're going, oh gosh, you know, this just keeps, it's a money pit. You know, you don't want that to happen. But when this was all initially presented, it was presented in such a way that I didn't think that that once you got the fencing up, that the rest of it was pretty self-manageable by those that participated in using it, and as far as the maintenance of it, the fencing, I don't know what the life of a fence is, you know, or something like that.
Good life.
Yeah, and I just think that's what I'm saying to consider, is just making sure that it's not something that, you know, once we put out the expense for it,
mm-hmm.
Yeah, just
that should be something
like
that's thought about with anything that you do. Sorry, that should be thought about. That mindset should be the same thought process should be you know, used a set of parameters for anything that you build or do in the city. Is just trying to understand. Okay, it's a good idea now, and we can get it in place. But what's it going to be in the future in expenses and also, you know, interest wise? I mean, hopefully you build it and the interest grows for the dog park, not go in the other direction. So I think let's try to get the dog committee going and rolling. And like you say, I do think we have some time. COVID-19 is, you know, pushed everything back. We need to be patient, but I think the more organized the dog committee can be, and then maybe that's where we use Greg to say, like, okay, Greg, what do you foresee the dog park, you know, costing and what's the cost going forward? Because he would know better than us, right?
Exactly. And I do want to piggyback on Katie's comments and just end with saying, we knew opening Wilbur Pool was going to be a lot more expensive this year. It was going to be an added expense with all the safety things we had to do. It was an added expense to the Y, it was an added expense to the city. But I got to say bravo to the city and bravo to the YMCA for opening that pool and allowing our community to use it. I've had nothing but great things said to me about people that have enjoyed that facility and have a little bit of normal life. So, the commission can pat themselves on the back about that too. So I think that's a positive.
No, I agree. I mean, again, we're always the hardest on ourselves, just trying to make things happen and maybe think things aren't happening. But, there is a long list. And I'm just looking down through our agenda, for our meeting tonight. We've hit on everything. One of the things we hit on everything on our agenda. But one of the things that it's my fault. I guess I didn't. But Katie, you mentioned in an email, that parks and recs and that we spend a lot of time, planning for dog parks and resurfacing courts, and you brought up the idea of arts, making it a place for arts. Do you want to comment on that? It was, or do you want to push that off to the next meeting? That I meant for that to be underneath new business. It just I never communicated it to Lou to put it on there.
That's okay. So just thinking about our parks as areas of conservation and fully faceted areas of use. I just was thinking about arts and nature, because I know we have a lot of really great walking trails, and a lot of people spend time on our benches and things like that. I did reach out to the Seagull County Conservation Association. I'm going to just be talking with them to get some ideas, but I think the nature focus would be a really great way to allow people a different way to utilize our parks without, without needing to be in close contact. I think it would create, and maybe this is something that I can talk with the environmental board about a little bit, but I think that it would create some stewardship and connection with the natural world. And I think it would be, just a very cheap way for us to, get more out of our parks. So I wanted to talk with the Seagull County Conservation Association, and I will, I think in the next couple of days.
Katie?
I'm sorry?
Not to interrupt you, I just wanted to tell you that the Conservation Department does do a program in the park for children. They didn't do it this year. Lots of things didn't happen this year. Many things where art is involved in the park, the Balloon Fest, there's any number of things that happen in the park that draw diversity and art into the park. We don't offer recreation programs anymore. We don't offer art programs, arts and crafts and stuff like that for children anymore. We don't do that. But if anybody came to us with an art thing you want to have a weekend of art in the park, I don't think any commissioner here would not support it. And furthermore, I think all the council members would support it. So I think this year is a really hard year to look at the park and say there's no art, or there's very little nature. And please don't think that, because there is all kinds of that. So
I've lived here for my whole life, and I would definitely say that in our parks, the nature aspect really takes a back seat to like sports and recreation and the manicured areas of the parks. So I'm not really talking about events necessarily, and more just about, in Hodges Pond, right? Like, who knows what kind of fish are in there? I certainly didn't until I got your report, So I'm just talking about, I think, bringing more awareness.
Well, the environmental board was aware that we did a study at the park, because I spoke with one of their members about it. and told them the condition of Hodges Pond and didn't get anything back from them. Didn't get any follow-up or say, come and talk to us or tell us about it or nothing.
Yeah.
So, that's, and I've been trying to get members of the council, and maybe now since you all are new, or a lot of you are new, to come to New Island and come and see you want an environment? There's all kinds of it out there, and it's just the most beautiful place. Very few people use it.
Right.
But
So
if you're not a
that's what
biker,
I'm
very
talking
few
about.
people use it.
Right.
Have you
And
been over there?
I don't mean to diminish anything that you're doing, Lou, and I'm really sorry that it seems like it's,
No. I didn't think you did. I think that there are lots of things in the park, but it just wasn't evident this year because of everything that was canceled.
Yeah.
Well, a perfect example, if anybody has strolled through Wilbur Park, the upper level, I would say the high school
Fairyland.
entrance, the Fairyland. Has anybody seen that or walked through there? That's a perfect example. It doesn't have to be a formal event. That was beautifully done. It started with one person and it kept going and going. A number of my teacher friends would bring things as well as myself. And Abby Kuznick was the secret behind Fairyland. So there are a number of different things. I see hopscotch. I see people writing and doing things. Maybe they're doing their own music. And for example, we could even use seeing more people at the concerts in the park. I don't see enough people down there. So I think we offer so many things in the park, but we don't necessarily have to have something specifically like a specific event. I think people enjoy the parks, their own. The trails are beautiful. That New Island is absolutely gorgeous. Has anybody been up there on that? As well as people who like to mountain bike. So there's a lot of ways that people are doing their creative vision of the park on their own. I don't know, some other things that we could do, sure. But maybe, like Lou said, right now is probably not the time to try to do something specifically different.
Okay. I mean, I respectfully disagree. I think that nature is free, and it's a way that people can be out in the park and learning about the types of native birds and native plants. I am a new mom, and I'd love to take my son to Wilbur Park, and I've done the fairy garden, and I guess that's what I'm talking about. Is more. And that was kind of a guerrilla thing. Someone took that upon themselves. But we have a lot of really great local artists. We have, Canal is full of local artists who I'm sure would love the opportunity to do art installations that would be little or no cost, and just a matter of being able to put out their art into the world. Beth is actually friends with a sculptor who has done a sculpture in Boston that I got to see. She lives in Oneonta. So we do have a lot of really great untapped, I think, potential when it comes to adding the facets to our park in ways that make them more enjoyable without contact sports. So I just, I'm thinking about, I love to take my son on the trail, and it would be cool if, there were a little sign that said, keep an eye out for, this specific kind of butterfly that and that lives in this area.
There's a bunch of that stuff on the Greenway. Have you been over there?
Greenway is specifically.
The Greenway has a lot of signs and nature things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think one thing that, and I think the city has a lot going for it. And y'all raised a really good point, which is that people aren't necessarily utilizing the things where we're putting our efforts. So rather than lamenting that, I think we need to get creative about how do we get people out there to visit the things that already exist, and how do we engage with them in new ways. So like I said, I'm a new mom. I'm a young family. Both, my husband and I are working professionals. We are the type of family that Oneonta is trying to attract. And for me, when I moved to a place, parks are huge, which is why I wanted to be a liaison to this commission. So I'm just here trying to tell you what matters to me also, And that's really where I'm coming from. It's not to say that, we're not doing good. It's just trying to think
No,
about.
and I think that's great, Katie. And if you meet with somebody of the Seagull County Conservation, I'd love to be in on that meeting. If
Okay,
you've got ideas to work with them, I would be more than happy to help you with that.
okay, great. Okay, great. Yeah. So my plan is
Oh.
to meet with OCCA in a couple days, and then I'd also like to reach out to Canal. And Lou, I think you would be instrumental because we would need to talk about where and what and how, and those things all totally hinge on you and your permission. So,
Yep.
and your knowledge, your deep knowledge of the park. So, but I just wanted to bring that up as a way that I feel like our parks could be, polished in that regard. And, that's all. Just kind of get it on everyone's radar.
Good point. It's a good
Thank you.
point.
All right. I just wanted, it wasn't on the agenda, and I just wanted to get it on, at least get it on, up for discussion. And,
We're gonna have
as
to
you
get
know,
off. Carrie just sent me a text.
Okay.
And,
all right.
zoning board
So,
has to meet.
okay. So can we have a motion to adjourn? Because they have a 7:00 meeting. She told me we had to be on.
Yes.
So, okay. All right. We're a little over. Anyway,
All right.
Katie,
Thanks, everyone.
thanks for
Thank
that.
you,
Thanks for
Katie.
that.